Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls, coming to you from the West Coast. Today I wanted to share a really fun card that I made. I like it better now. I have to admit, when I first made it and finished it, I was like, not crazy about that. And then I set it aside and I came back and looked at it the next day and I'm like, actually, I kind of like that. So I'm going to show you how it's made. I'm going to make a slightly different one. So I'll explain how I made this one and then I'll show you. I'm going to make the same style of card, but using a different stamp, a different color scheme, and a different shaker die. But kind of the same idea. What I did here is I stamped the background with, this is a Crafter's Companion stamp. It's a heart shape with flowers in it. There it is. It's called the Blooming Heart stamp from Crafter's Companion. It's a photopolymer stamp, and it's just this heart-shaped that's filled with these flowers. And so I stamped that, as you can see, 4 different times using opaque pigment ink in orange and yellow, and I just kind of mixed them in the middle. And then I heat embossed it with clear embossing powder. And this is just on white card. And then I went back and ink blended 3 different colors, kind of a tealy green, a light blue, and a darker blue over the top of the heat embossing. And then you can go back and wipe off the heat embossed pieces to take that ink off, and you're left with sort of this ombre background with the colored heat embossed on top. And then I made my shaker card out of some holographic mirror card. And these I actually cut out of the same holographic mirror card. And then you just use my alcohol inks to color the green and other. And then I just cut the green from linen card to go on the inside. And then heat embossed some sentiments. So this one I'm going to use, this is the same type of stamp, but it's stars on black card. And then I've got a champagne bottle for the shaker card that I'm going to use. And I'm going to stamp this in silver metallic pigment ink and then use a silver embossing powder over the top. So I'm going to get my embossing powder ready because I'm going to do this in stages. And then I'm going to go ahead on this one. One of the things I didn't like about this was the sentiments on these little white strips. That was the piece that I wasn't crazy about. So I'm going to try stamping the sentiment and heat embossing it onto the background with this and see if I like that better. Okay, so there's my background. And I do like that stamped on there better. All right, so I've got my 5x7 card base, and then I just cut a piece of black card that's just tiny bit smaller than 5x7. I'm going to put that on. And then I've got a piece of silver paper that's just a little bit smaller. So I just wanted a small black layer and then this small silver layer. And this is just a lightweight paper, which is perfect for matting and layering. The other option, if you have a gold, a silver paint pen, you can just use that and take your silver paint pen and go right around the edges of this black card, and it will give you the look of a silver matte layer without actually using any paper or card. And then I'm going to put my background piece that I just made on top. Okay, I'm going to make my shaker element. So I've got these Crafter's Companion shaker dies, and it cuts the background, and then you've got an insert piece to cut this element out of the middle. And then I cut the background out of a green mirror card, the background and the middle out of the green mirror card, and then I cut just this piece out of the silver glitter card. And then I took, this is just some acetate that I glued on there, and then I just used my scissors to trim around the edges. Okay, you can use the die to cut a background layer out of the acetate if you want, but I find it with acetate, it's almost easier to just, because it doesn't have to be perfect because it's not going to show. So just put it on there and then use your scissors to trim around. I find that easier. And then we're going to put this piece on the background, and then I'll put shaker foam around here, but I want to get this in the right spot. I'll put this on here about where I think it should go. I'll put this on top because I want it right lined up perfectly. And look at that, I did pretty well. So we're going to leave that to dry. And I'm going to put some shaker foam on here. And I've just got this roll of shaker foam, and it's fairly thin, so I'm probably going to have to go around it twice. Now the way I do this, and I'm going to put a little bit of tacky glue on that tape. Now the way I do this is I put, these are just mixed sequins, and they happen to be essentially clear because that's what I wanted. I mean, you can use any color you want, but the way that I do it is I kind of pile them up on this center section. And this is the benefit also of using that, of cutting out that center in a different color, because now you know exactly where your shaker bits need to go. Okay, once you get them all in that center, then pick up your other piece. Let me spin this around so I can see. And just line it up. And press it down. I got one on my hand. Okay. And there's my little shaker element. I'm going to put my little bottle right on the top of there. And I got a cork that's going to go on. And I've got a little label. My label's going to go down here. And I'm going to put my cork up here on with my 3D glue gel. It's about like that. And yeah, I like that. And we're done. So a very different look but you make the cards essentially the same way. So but a very different look, a very, the black and silver versus the bright colors. The bright colors I thought went well with my little margarita glass versus the black and silver I thought went well with the champagne. I think I might get some little streamers or something in silver to be coming out of there. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you like that. So I wanted to make some little, almost like streamers or something, and I thought I'd try this. Okay, so I think that looks good. So what I did is I just took a little strip of silver mirror card, and I'm going to cut this one down smaller. And just took my scissors and like literally cut tiny little strips, but not all the way to the bottom. Most of the way, but not all the way. Just really, really narrow. Okay, just like that. They kind of look almost like little, like long eyelashes. And then you can attach that underneath your little bottle. And I'm gonna just kind of take the edges off these corners. And then we're going to attach that just with some 3D glue gel so that I can slide it up right underneath that top of that bottle. And it makes it look like that cork is just exploding right out of there. Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, so super easy to do. And I think it adds a lot as opposed to just having it plain.